Have you ever felt like you've given trust and sincerity, only to receive doubt and confusion in return? How many times have you quietly wondered whether the person in front of you truly cares or is simply playing a role? Deep down, you may fear that you're being used, that sweet words and kind gestures are merely a facade for hidden agendas. Deception in relationships doesn't just wound our hearts. It subtly erodes our trust in ourselves and in others. Perhaps you resist the idea that someone close might only be around for personal gain. Yet small actions, insincere words, and half-truths slowly reveal reality. How do we keep from drowning in suspicion, from losing our inner peace each time we sense someone's insincerity? Stoicism, with its calm, profound, and insightful principles, can guide us not only in recognizing the signs of deceit, but also in facing them with a steady mind. Stoics believe that maintaining clarity and inner peace is the key to navigating relationships laced with hidden motives. In this video, we'll explore 7 unmistakable signs that someone is being entirely fake with you. These lessons go beyond simply identifying others. They lead us on a journey to understand that the strength of a resilient mind and steady spirit is our best defense against negativity. Let's dive into each sign to discover the Stoic path to overcoming deception with calm resilience. Before we begin, I have a small challenge for you. Watch until the end to see how many of these signs you've encountered in your own relationships. Now, let's get started. Sign 1. They never reach out to you first. A fake friend is someone who only appears when you reach out first or when they need something from you. This can leave you feeling disappointed, as if you're the only one keeping the relationship alive. As a Stoic, I wouldn't advise cutting ties immediately with such people. Rather, I encourage you to understand human nature more deeply and learn to let go of expectations toward others. When someone never initiates contact, it's a sign they may view you merely as a secondary connection, a source of benefit when needed, or simply lack genuine commitment. Imagine a friend who only calls when they need help or feel down. Does that feel like a genuine, lasting relationship? Probably not, because a sincere connection is one where both sides willingly give and receive, without one person having to sustain it. Ask yourself, if I stopped reaching out, would this person make an effort to stay in touch? Give yourself a break from initiating contact and see what happens. If they truly care, they'll notice your absence and make an effort to reconnect. If they don't, you may have found your answer. Their lack of initiative also suggests you may be outside their close circle. This becomes apparent during moments when you're left out. Parties you weren't invited to, gatherings you only hear about through social media or others. These occasions happen without your presence, as though they've naturally excluded you from the moments a true friend would share. These signs aren't just about a lack of initiative, but reflect a deeper lack of care. If you're always the one reaching out while they put in no effort to connect, they've likely limited your role in their life. You may have invested time and emotion into this relationship, but the reality shows they don't value your presence. This doesn't just leave you feeling abandoned, it makes you question your worth in their eyes. Imagine a friend you've always considered close. You frequently text, check in, invite them out for coffee or a movie. But when you get busy and stop initiating, they simply vanish. No messages, no calls, no checking in. In that moment, Feeling let down is inevitable. However, a Stoic would view this as a valuable lesson rather than a wound. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Their disappearance may be what happens to you, but how you respond is the true measure. You can choose to feel betrayed and disappointed, or you can face the reality that they don't genuinely care. Instead of expecting from them, focus on managing your own emotions and gradually learning to let go. Stoicism teaches us that expectations are often the root cause of disappointment. In any relationship, if we place too much hope in others acting the way we want, we'll easily feel hurt when they don't. Learn to view each connection realistically and keep yourself proactive in how you respond. In truth, when you accept another person's lack of initiative without letting it affect you, you're cultivating a peace that comes from within, a tranquility that doesn't rely on any validation from others. You might ask yourself, if they don't truly value me, am I willing to let go? Once you can answer that question with confidence, you'll find yourself feeling freer than ever. Those who don't reach out may simply have a different way of expressing their feelings or may not genuinely value the relationship. But as a Stoic, you don't need to judge or react negatively. Instead, seek understanding and acceptance. Focus on building inner strength and pursue more sincere relationships. Ultimately, remember, in any relationship, the most important thing isn't whether others make an effort toward you, but whether you're strong enough not to rely on their attention. That is the Stoic way, to live with calm and resilient strength. Sign 2. They're never there when you need them. A true friend will stand by you, shoulder your burdens when life gets tough, without a moment's hesitation. A false friend, however, often shows up only when there's something in it for them. They may seem caring and close, tricking you into thinking you're important to them. Yet, when you truly face hardship and need support, they vanish without a trace, leaving you to face challenges alone. Have you ever wondered why, when you need help, they always seem to have an excuse to be absent? It's because, to them, the relationship only exists as long as they're benefiting from it. When you're vulnerable or going through a rough patch, such friends feel you no longer hold value for them. They come around when they need something, but the moment they get it, they're quick to find the exit. It's a one-sided connection. If you look back and ask yourself if they've ever been there when you felt lost or hurt, the answer is likely no. Imagine you're going through a challenging time at work, feeling the weight of high expectations and exhaustion. Desperate for someone to listen, to offer advice, you call the person you once thought of as a close friend, someone you've been there for whenever they needed. But when you reach out, they don't pick up or give excuses about being busy, promising to get back to you later. You wait, but they never do. That's when you realize this friendship only holds value when you're the giver, and they only appear when there's something in it for them. Sometimes you might need temporary financial support, a small loan you expect to be easy to obtain from someone who once promised to help. You've supported them before, whether with money or valuable advice to get through tough times. But when you reach out, all you receive are discouraging reasons. They can't afford it, or are facing personal challenges. Yet you know they're not in any real bind, and continue to indulge in their own pleasures. You see clearly that the kindness you offered has gone unreciprocated, and this relationship is nothing but a one-way street. In many cases, these fair-weather friends justify their absence with convincing reasons. They'll claim to be busy, dealing with personal issues, or tied up with urgent matters. But these excuses are often just a mask for their selfishness and lack of sincerity. A true friend doesn't make up lies to avoid you during hard times. They're willing to show up and listen, even if they're struggling themselves. Sometimes we need to ask ourselves, does this friendship bring value and meaning, or is it merely a temporary arrangement based on convenience? A genuine friend will show up even when there's nothing in it for them. They'll listen with an open heart, without expecting anything in return. Conversely, a false friend will always take without giving. Have you ever felt that when you've given your all to help someone, they completely disappear when you need a hand? Feel free to share your story if you've been through this. Sometimes, putting it into words can free us from the expectations that once hurt us. These friends don't build relationships on love, but on calculation. They come to take, not to share. Once we understand this, we'll learn not to be hurt when they walk away. This realization doesn't harden our hearts. Instead, it brings us calm, shielding us from unnecessary pain. Remember, Stoicism advises us not to place our hopes in things beyond our control, including others' sincerity. A true friend won't disappear when you're in need, and Stoicism teaches us to be self-reliant, never dependent on others' presence. Be mindful and selective about who you let into your life. In the end, a genuine friendship will endure, not based on gain or circumstance, but on pure, heartfelt love. Sign 3. They only focus on themselves. After realizing that someone is consistently absent when you need help, the next common sign of a superficial relationship is a lack of balance in communication. A genuine person will take the time to listen and share, while those who are insincere often treat conversations as opportunities to talk solely about themselves. Have you ever found yourself in a conversation that seemed to revolve entirely around the other person? They continually share stories about their lives, interrupt you, or show indifference to what you say, turning you into a reluctant listener in an unending monologue. This clearly indicates that their interest is one-sided and limited, focused only on themselves and what they consider important. Ask yourself, why are they so focused on speaking rather than listening? For many insincere individuals, a conversation is not an opportunity to build a connection. Instead, it serves as a stage for their ego. They boast about their work, personal life, successes, or failures. If you try to share something, they may quickly interrupt or appear indifferent. Their goal is to be heard, but they have no intention of truly listening to anyone else. As Marcus Aurelius once reminded us, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Insincere people often spend more time boasting than striving to be genuinely good. Consider a typical scenario. You have a colleague who, whenever you meet, starts to ramble on about everything, from their current project to their recent vacation. When you attempt to share something about yourself, they swiftly redirect the conversation back to them. This behavior not only reflects selfishness, but also reveals a lack of sincerity in the relationship. The essence of such insincere individuals is that they seek recognition from others, desiring to monopolize attention. If someone genuinely cares about you, they will listen and respond sincerely. However, insincere people do not act this way. They interrupt you not out of interest or curiosity, but because they believe their opinions are more important. They lack the patience to wait for you to finish speaking, rushing to insert their own thoughts. This not only makes the conversation tense, but also creates a sense of distance. Another practical example is when you recount a difficult situation, such as facing pressure at work. Instead of empathizing and listening, that person quickly shifts to discussing the pressure they themselves are experiencing. They compare your problems to theirs, always returning the story to themselves. At that moment, you realize that this person is not a true friend. They have no intention of sharing your burden. They merely want to add to their own. Insincere individuals not only fail to listen, but also dismiss your feelings and thoughts. They lack the sensitivity to understand the emotions of others and rarely offer genuine encouragement. When you share something profound or sensitive, they tend to respond in a shallow manner or try to belittle what you've said. This isn't because they don't understand. It's because they don't want to. Have you ever shared a painful or challenging life event with a friend, only to have them dismiss it with, "Come on, it's not a big deal," or even ignore it entirely? Such attitudes show they are indifferent to the struggles you face. A true friend would never make you feel like a burden. They would take the time to listen and, even if they don't offer advice, would help you feel that your emotions are valid and respected. When you encounter someone who only talks about themselves, instead of feeling disappointed or angry, remind yourself that their behavior reflects immaturity. You don't need to respond to insincerity with negative emotions. Instead, maintain a safe distance and understand that they will not bring positive value to your life. Once you recognize that someone is only interested in talking and not listening, apply Stoicism as your response. First, remember that you have the power to choose which relationships are worth your time. You're not obligated to endure someone else's selfishness. Instead of allowing yourself to be caught up in this one-sided dialogue, focus on those who genuinely care about you. Keeping your distance doesn't mean you harbor hatred towards them. Rather, you are protecting your spirit from unnecessary negativity. Sign 4. They forget what you talk about. Have you ever shared a painful or challenging life event with a friend? Sharing a meaningful story or a genuine emotion with someone, only to realize later that they remember none of it. Perhaps you spoke about a memorable life event or a major personal plan, yet to them, it seemed as if your words simply drifted away. This kind of forgetfulness isn't just a small slip. It often reveals that the person doesn't genuinely care about the conversation, or you. If you've ever had to repeat a story or emphasize details you once shared, you'll understand the discouragement that follows. For someone who truly listens, remembering isn't a chore. It's a natural act born of genuine care. I recall once sharing with a friend my excitement about starting a long-awaited course. It wasn't just any course. I had spent considerable time preparing. As it marked a new chapter, I was ready to embrace. We sat over coffee, and I eagerly spoke of my hopes, what I wanted to learn, and the goals I aspired to achieve. It was the kind of open, heartfelt conversation you hope will deepen a connection. Yet, the next time we met, he didn't bring it up. Even when I gently hinted at it, he looked at me blankly, as if he hadn't heard anything about it before. In that moment, it dawned on me that perhaps I didn't hold a significant place in his life. If he had truly cared, I thought, he might have asked, "How's your course going?" or "What have you learned so far?" But there was none of that. Reflecting on it, I realized that his forgetfulness wasn't just a simple lapse. When people care, they remember, because listening isn't merely hearing with the ears, it's hearing with the heart. As Seneca said, "If you wish to be loved, love." A true friend remembers not out of obligation, but because they genuinely care about you. After that experience, I began to reassess my relationships. I have another friend who, every time we meet, asks about even the smallest details I've mentioned before, whether it's a new restaurant I wanted to try or a short trip planned with family. Those little things may seem trivial to others, but to me, they signify that she's truly present and listening, not just in words, but in actions. She remembers, and that makes me feel valued and appreciated. In Stoicism, genuine and lasting relationships must be built on sincere interest and real listening. I started asking myself, is it worth holding on to relationships where the other person doesn't truly listen? Can I accept a friendship that lacks authenticity? The answer became clearer as I realized I don't need to keep people who don't value me. And there's a peacefulness in learning to let go, to reserve my time and energy for those who genuinely care. Since then, I've learned to appreciate friends who are there when I need them, who remember each story and detail I've shared. These relationships may be few, but they are fulfilling and priceless. They are the ones who ask, "How was your trip?" and truly care about the answer, because they want to know. These are the friends I treasure, as they not only listen, but also stay in my life through joys and hardships. And so, I remind myself that life is complete and meaningful only when we are surrounded by people who truly understand and respect us. Sign 5. They always want something from you. When we encounter someone who can't remember the details of a conversation, it often signals indifference and a lack of genuine interest. This reflects a relationship missing the essential connection and sincerity. But indifference isn't always the end of it. Some people approach us not just with a shallow attitude, but with clear, self-serving motives. When someone contacts you only for what they can gain, it's time to be cautious. These individuals appear in your life, seeming to care, but if you look closely, you'll see that their actions primarily serve their own goals. They may ask about you, engage in deep conversations, or even stand by you through tough times. Yet, upon closer observation, their help or concern often isn't rooted in kindness, but rather in obtaining something from you. They are always asking questions, delving into your life. They seek information about you, not to share or understand, but to uncover weaknesses, needs, or assets you possess. For example, a friend might frequently inquire about your financial situation or work, but offers no support when you're struggling. They aren't asking out of concern, but to see what benefit you might bring to them. If you meet people who frequently ask, "How's work going lately?" or "How did that investment you mentioned turn out?" ask yourself if these questions genuinely come from a place of care. They want information to exploit you when it suits them, rather than contributing to the relationship. In today's world, where many people are more inclined to take than to give, toxic relationships easily emerge. Such people will do anything within their power to obtain what you have. They might pretend to be friends, or even take advantage of your vulnerable moments to maintain a relationship that ultimately only serves their purposes. It's essential to reassess the relationships in your life. Ask yourself, where am I spending most of my time, energy, and resources? If the answer reveals that you are always the one giving, the one willing to sacrifice without receiving anything worthwhile in return, this is a clear sign of a manipulative relationship. In reality, some people are ready to drain your energy, resources, and even your kindness without a second thought. Stoicism teaches us to clearly discern the people in our lives. Ask yourself, why are they here with me? Stoics always encourage mindfulness, emphasizing that there are only two types of people: those who take more than they give, and those who strive to give more than they receive. Imagine having a friend who frequently reaches out for help when facing problems, from trivial matters like seeking advice or needing someone to talk to larger issues like borrowing money or needing you to solve personal challenges. Initially, you might feel valued as a friend, only to realize this relationship is one-sided. When you need support or want to share something, they are suddenly busy or show little interest. Once, when you struggled at work and needed someone to listen, they made a quick excuse and couldn't find time for you. Gradually, you understand that they only appear when they need something, and your presence only matters if it benefits them. Marcus Aurelius highlighted the importance of understanding others' motives, and Stoicism helps you stay calm in such situations, ensuring these relationships don't leave you feeling bitter or disappointed. If your life is surrounded by people who constantly seek to take more than they give, these are the individuals you should distance yourself from. This doesn't mean severing all relationships, but learning to recognize when a relationship is no longer healthy. The presence of those who only want something from you will not contribute to your personal growth. Sign 6. They talk behind your back. In life, one of the hardest experiences is realizing that someone you trust or respect is speaking poorly about you behind your back. For those who live by Stoicism, recognizing and facing this betrayal requires both clarity and a resilient heart, a calm mind that prevents such betrayal from disrupting one's inner peace. Though clear evidence isn't always available, you can often sense when someone is talking behind your back through the tension that arises when you're around them. It's like an invisible, highly sensitive thread. You may not know exactly what they said or to whom, but their behavior reveals hints. They might seem awkward, display passive-aggressive gestures like a forced smile, or subtly dismiss your words. You'll feel a barrier forming, a negative energy that's perceptible even without hearing the actual words. For instance, imagine a close colleague whose attitude has shifted. They still exchange polite smiles, but their gaze lacks sincerity, and their stories increasingly revolve around themselves while dismissing yours with indifference. Perhaps somewhere within the office, they've shared unkind words about you, and this is now evident in their demeanor. Often, what others say about you reaches you indirectly, perhaps through a mutual friend, a close colleague, or even a casual remark from an acquaintance. While it can be disheartening, This is also an opportunity to see the true nature of the relationship. Pay attention, and you'll notice that those who gossip often display passive-aggressive behavior, subtly devaluing your achievements. When you share a success, they may ignore it or make remarks that cause self-doubt, like, "Oh, that's not really a big deal, is it?" These individuals might use words to distract and undermine, aiming to diminish your confidence. In times like these, Stoicism offers a perspective. Remember, it is not he who gives abuse or blows, who affronts, but the view we take of these things as insulting. By letting such disparaging remarks affect you, you give others the power to influence your feelings. Let these words pass without concern, keeping your peace and focusing on what truly matters. When facing slander, it's easy to get drawn into a cycle of negative reaction, but Stoicism stresses the importance of controlling one's emotions and behavior. Ask yourself, does this truly matter? Do these words affect who I am? With confidence in your own value, you'll see that these negative remarks are mere background noise in your life. Those who talk behind your back are often motivated by envy or resentment, pulled into negativity by their own insecurities. Rather than getting caught up in their jealousy, focus on your own growth, refusing to let gossip disturb your mind. Stoicism doesn't teach us to sever every relationship just because someone has spoken poorly of us. Instead, it encourages self-focus, preserving self-respect, and not allowing others to disturb our inner peace. Remember, no matter what anyone says behind your back, their words don't alter your worth. By staying calm, steady, and self-respecting, you embody the true spirit of Stoicism, a spirit that seeks inner tranquility and rises above life's trivialities. Sign 7. They act differently with different people. Having explored the obvious signs of deception, such as backstabbing, we now arrive at one of the subtler, yet telling, indicators of insincerity, changing behavior depending on who they're with. Stoicism encourages us to live with honesty and consistency, aligned with our core values. Thus, those who shift their attitude to appease different people are directly opposed to this spirit. Maintaining relationships with people who constantly alter their behavior based on circumstances is challenging. For them, hiding their true nature is almost instinctive. They effortlessly become someone else, adjusting their words, expressions, or attitudes to fit in with others. This might be evident in small actions, like praising you in private, yet ignoring you when someone more influential is around. They might flatter those they respect or fear, while subtly belittling you or others they deem inferior. A superficial person typically has little regard for others beyond themselves. They'll readily show different sides to achieve what they desire from each individual, without much thought to the long-term consequences. If you sense someone always shifts their demeanor around others, ask yourself, do they genuinely value you, or are they simply building a connection for their personal gain? A person who tailors their attitude based on their audience is someone who lacks the courage to live authentically, disregards sincerity, and, at times, seems to lack any solid inner principles. Imagine a colleague who acts warm and friendly when it's just the two of you, but in the presence of a supervisor or high-level manager, they suddenly become overly confident, even assertive, going so far as to undermine you to make themselves appear better. In these situations, you might feel disappointed and lose trust in them. However, Rather than letting negative emotions take over, Stoicism advises us to maintain calm and seek a clear understanding of human nature. It's our response to the situation, not the situation itself, that ultimately shapes our experience. Have you ever noticed someone acting differently when influential people are around? They may seem indifferent to you in regular settings, but in the presence of someone famous or wealthy, they become instantly enthusiastic and friendly. This behavior signals insincerity, valuing others only for the benefits or prestige they can bring. These types often prefer mingling with powerful or affluent people, believing they stand to gain something from them. This could mean gaining access to a network, expanding career opportunities, or simply elevating their status. They often show up at events where they know powerful people will be present, trying to impress and gain attention, all while adapting their behavior to match the circumstances. This contrasts with the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, who emphasized the importance of living truthfully and in harmony with one's nature. Imagine a real-life scenario when you have a good job, a stable income, and social standing. Friends and partners seem readily available, eager to support and accompany you. But one day, you lose that job or face a significant setback, and suddenly, these same people are no longer by your side. They become busier, less attentive, and may even avoid you altogether. This is one of the clearest signs of a fake friend. A superficial person will quickly abandon you when you no longer hold the advantages you once had. This reflects the vanity and self-interest inherent in their character. When you lose your usefulness, they'll leave without hesitation, seeking new stepping stones on their journey upward. In the face of such relationships, consider asking yourself, if one day I lost all my power, status, or achievements, who would still stand by me? Think about your friends. Would they still stay if you had nothing left to offer? Or would they drift away, seeking new connections that could bring them more advantages? These are the questions I urge you to ponder as we close today's video. When you recognize signs of insincerity in relationships, it's natural to feel a bit disappointed, perhaps even hurt. Yet, Stoicism teaches us that life doesn't always bring us sweetness. Instead, it offers us the chance to see clearly and to grow. Realizing who isn't genuine doesn't mean you must become suspicious of everyone. Rather, it empowers you to be selective, to nurture the relationships that genuinely deserve your kindness and love. Stoicism guides us to live without relying on external illusions or sadness, and instead to keep our spirit steady, calm, and unaffected by insincerity. Only by mastering our own emotions can we prevent insincere people from touching our core, a core rooted in strength and self-respect. If this video has been helpful to you, please leave a like and share it with those you care about so they, too, can guard themselves against insincerity. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to explore more profound insights from Stoicism, helping you live with greater strength and peace. If you're still here, it shows you've passed the small challenge from the start of the video. Leave a comment saying, "I've spotted a fake friend," so I can congratulate you on this remarkable realization. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos.